And there's another passage where you're singing, which I empathized with profoundly. You're singing in Wigmore, and a celebrated pianist who was Brendel?
It was.
It was Brendel, yeah. You were singing the song I was just playing.
Yes. How did you play that?
Did I? I don't know. But there's a famous dispute of whether, and it's covered in the book, whether you play or you play the left hand after the third of the triplets. Believe it or not, this is the substance of great. No, actually, I said that as a joke, but it actually does affect the sense of the song very profoundly, actually, the sense of the pace of it.
It does, but what's interesting is that people come up with, some people say, oh, it's got to be the second one because it's dragging, and then other people say, oh, it's got to be the first one because it's dragging. And nobody quite, to me, it doesn't, I mean, what I want, I was a sort of personal quest because Alfred Brendel, who is, I think, the most amazing player of Schubert and whose performances of Schubert sonatas are among my favourite on record, but he was sitting in row 5 of the Wigmore Hall, and I could see him, and he had the score, and as we got to the crucial bit and we decided to do it the way he didn't like, he started going and turning to his companion and showing people behind, and I don't think people often don't know that we can singers, we can see you. So it became a sort of personal quest to try and work out whether actually it is justified. And actually, if you look at it, if you go through it and look at Baroque practice and everything, the second version is perfectly. You can make out a very good case for playing it that way. But I think it's great the other way too. And I mean,
there's a nice Charles Rosen moment in there where somebody says there's no example of Schubert having written.
Yeah.
And then you say, but we found 3,824 examples.
Well, someone else did.
Someone else did, yes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine combing through all of Schubert's works? I know that's
counting them up. Yeah. But I think that's another big issue about how we perform music. I mean, we have. And I think I get the impression it's changing enormously in the academic world, having just spent some time in the academic world with people who are writing about this. There was for a long time this very strange sort of, I suppose, Platonic idea that the work was something out there and that the performance was not really very important. And it went together with a whole sort of useful rhetoric about the humble nature of the performer, which if you've met many performers you wouldn't necessarily subscribe to, but maybe it's a helpful thing because it contains the natural egotism of the performer and the desire of the performer and it creates a tension between the text and the expressive desire of the performer. But I think a piece of music in the end is a collaboration. I mean, clearly Schubert is where it's all coming from, but it lives in performance, and it's like a recipe. And sometimes we may, for our own reasons, change dynamics or elements of it because we think it works better, and if it works, it works. You know.
Well, I liked reading your take on something that's very important to me.